What is up, everybody? Jarrett from Empire of Assets here. It is January 2nd, and that means we have another month of sales for Metazoo. So we are going to be covering the top Metazoo sales of December. As many people know, the whole market, sports cards, Pokemon, Magic, Metazoo are all kind of in a dip right now, as well as crypto. Don't know if those are correlated or not, but the whole market's definitely been down. We haven't really seen it bounce back yet. So you'll definitely see that reflected in some of the prices, which is interesting. But then you also see a lot of variability in the prices. The majority of the list is going to be made up of basically three things, and that is going to be, I guess actually four things. Sample cards are one, obviously super rare, only 100 of each. Holographic versions are very, very high in demand. So that's one. Kickstarter booster boxes, obviously the most desirable sealed product for the game ever released. Those are going to be a majority of the list. Then you have the secret rares, so red ink and old scratch are going to be the two big ones. We did just get a brand new secret rare, which is the blue ink card found only in Cryptid Nation's 2nd edition release. So it'll be interesting to see the price on that. Another video coming soon. And then the last thing is going to be just original Kickstarter holo cards, mainly Mothman. The most desirable original card that actually came out in a full set that wasn't a sample card is the full holo Kickstarter Mothman, and in a high PSA grade it sells for a ton of money. So that's what we're going to be covering today. We do have a couple extra fun things thrown in, so make sure you stick around to get all of those. But starting at the bottom, all of these sales are pulled from eBay. None of this data is 100% official. This is just what I looked at. They could be not real sales. If you know anything about that, or you think a sale looks fishy, definitely leave a comment down below and I'd love to look more into it. However, this is what I grabbed, and I think at least the majority of these numbers are probably pretty accurate, and it gives us a good picture of kind of where the market's at. So without further ado, let's jump into it with the first card on our list, which is going to be a sale from December 5th of a sample Van Meteor Visitor. This is not one of the most desirable sample cards, but it is a really nice card. All of the cards will be up on screen, so make sure you check them out if you don't know what the card looks like. Some of these sample cards have never been released before in a product, and they are pretty neat to look at. So the sample Van Meteor Visitor was a PSA 10 copy. Obviously, that's going to command a huge premium, even over other of the same versions of the sample card. And this card is a Pop 3, so pretty rare. Out of the 100 made so far, only 3 have been graded a PSA 10. This sold for $5,100. Moving up to the next one, we have another sample card. It looks like maybe somebody was auctioning off a PSA return of sample cards, because the first 3 on the list are all going to be sample cards, all from the December 5th and 6th. So the next one is from December 6th, and that is a sample Chaos Crystal, by far the most desirable artifact. And I would say probably arguably in the top 5 cards in the set. I don't know if it's number 2 behind the Mothman. I think that there's probably a couple of the holos that are a little higher than that. But Chaos Crystal, PSA 9, so not a PSA 10, sold for $6,500. And that just goes to show you that even in a PSA 9, it still sold for $1,400 more than the Van Meteor Visitor, which is interesting, but just shows you how desirable the Chaos Crystal is. And then back to December 5th, we had another sample. This was a sample Headless Horseman, which is probably a top 3 card in the Nightfall set. It's Mothman, Wendigo, and then I would say Headless Horseman is probably right there, as well as Grim Reaper. Those are kind of the big 4. But a Headless sample PSA 10 sold for $9,000. Now this one, you can see it's in the PSA 10. It's probably one of the most desirable sample cards. It's up there with the original cards that I just listed. Sold for $9,000, so a huge premium even over the other 2 sample cards. And these all sold within a day, so it's interesting to kind of get a good feel for the sample market from here. Moving up to the next one, we do have a secret rare. This is going to be a December 3rd sale, so again, back from the beginning of the month, and that is a red ink, the secret rare from the 1st edition Cryptid Nation. I believe there is 100 of these in existence. I feel like that's the number, but I also feel like that number has been thrown around and maybe not entirely accurate. but supposed to be 100 of these. So we've now broken the 5-figure mark, and we still have quite a few sales left to go. The next one are Kickstarter booster boxes, kind of the king of the sealed product for Metazoo. Always will be. There's nothing at this point that's going to knock it off. It's the original launch of the product. In the booster box, it's the first edition, like a Pokemon first edition booster box. This is that for Metazoo. Only 2,000 made. Probably half are opened already. Super rare product. So I listed all the sales together. We will start at the first sale, which was on December 13th, which is also the highest sale. So you can see the market dipping. That one sold for $10,500. Then the next date one sold was December 22nd, and that one sold for, oh, I take that back. There was one that sold for $8,000 on December 12th. Which is really interesting because it kind of breaks the whole trend. But so there's one for $8,000 on December 12th. Then we went to $10,500 just one day later, which is interesting. Not sure if something weird's going on there. Then the next sale we had was December 22nd, and that was for $9,000. Then we had December 29th. One sold for $7,250. So another, basically it dropped $1,500 from the 13th to the 22nd. Then it dropped another almost $2,000. $1,750 it dropped on December 29th, so 7 days later. But then one sold on the 30th, so just about 4 days ago, and that one sold for $8,200. So here we have a price range from basically $7,250 all the way up to $10,500. A $3,000 range on any product is huge, but the market has dropped probably about 30%, so that does seem pretty accurate. Take that for what you will, but the booster box numbers kind of jumping all over the place. They are probably a rare enough item that if, say, 2 or 3 people all decide they want a box and they're all bidding on one, it could pretty easily drive the price up a couple grand over another one. Then moving up to our next one, we have another secret rare. This one is interesting because it is the one from the second set, which is Nightfall, and that is the old scratch card. Basically a card of the devil. This one also in a PSA 9, which was the same as the red ink from before, and this one sold for $14,000, so about $4,000 more than the red ink. I personally think old scratch is a much cooler card than red ink. It's actually a cryptid card, whereas red ink I believe is a spell card. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but old scratch seems to be the more desirable card, both in a PSA 9. And the reason I think this is due to the chipping issues on the old scratch card. The red ink is a lot higher print quality, whereas the old scratches seem to have a ton of chipping issues along the top border. And I think for the long term, PSA 10s are going to be incredibly rare of this already super rare card. PSA 9s are going to be also very rare. If you look at the pop report, there's some that are like PSA 4s, PSA 6s, 7s, and 8s, and it's just due to factory printing issues. The quality control on this card wasn't great, meaning that a good quality copy is going to sell more than the red ink because the red inks seem to come in a little better shape straight out of the box. Then moving into our last one, this is interesting that this was the biggest card, but that is the Kickstarter Mothman Full Hollow. In a PSA 10, we actually had 3 different sales of these. These are not super rare anymore. I believe there is 36 copies in existence. So that's a pretty good number for a card that is as rare as a Kickstarter Mothman. I think there is 847, supposedly, if you do the math, on the 2,000 booster boxes, and then how many cards were in the spell books and the blister packs, and you break it all down. I've done another video breaking this all down before. So out of the 847, there's already, I believe, like 36 or 48 PSA 10s. I expect a lot more probably to happen, but I don't know how often people are going to be cracking Kickstarter products, so maybe the pop will stay probably under 100 for the next year. Especially with PSA being $100 a card, although this is definitely one that would be worth grading. So our first sale also, again, was our highest. That was on December 5th for $15,000. Then we had our next sale on December 21st for $11,000. And then we had another sale 10 days later on December 31st, New Year's Eve, that sold for $13,000. So here again, you can see the trend. 15, it seems to have dipped to 11 and now is bouncing back. I don't know if this means the market is coming back up and it's bottomed, or if this was just a random sale of a super rare card that seemed to have come back up a little bit. Maybe it's doing the rubber band where we're bouncing off the bottom and coming back. Maybe not. Tough to say. Prices of singles, especially Nightfall, are not doing great. I know Cryptid Nation 2nd edition just released, and it is $140 retail on the Metazoo website, and it seems like game stores are selling it for around $100 a booster box, so $40 under the MSRP, and people are still kind of hesitant to buy it. That was announced, I believe, that there's 50,000 boxes, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So that one, the market seems to be pretty weak there. However, the big news, and if you are looking at selling any Kickstarter, I personally am doing this. The Walmart launch is coming supposedly in January, and that is going to be, I believe, huge for the market. You're going to get a ton of exposure. You're going to have product in Walmarts if all the stuff lines up right, if they can get the product shipped there, if they have enough product to get shipped there. If it's not bought out instantly, if it can maybe sit on a shelf so some new collectors, some kids, some people that haven't heard about Metazoo can get their hands on some products, it could be really, really good for the market. Even in this downturn, there's no way that it going into Walmart is a bad thing. It's probably going to get a lot more coverage than it gets right now. And so I personally am holding a couple of the things that I want to move until that happens, when I believe prices will get a nice little boost across the board. So there is a little tip for you if you're looking at selling. But that's all I had for you guys today. That was the top sales of December 2021. As we move into 2022, it will be interesting to see if the market bounces back, what happens with the Walmart introduction. And then we do have the next set coming out in, I believe, March or April, and that is the Wilderness set. So you're going to have big cards like Fountain of Youth in there. It's probably the big artifact one, and then like Cumberland Dragon, and having a hard time thinking of any of the other big ones for that. Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed will probably be in that set. So I will be super interested to see how the market reacts to the third Metazoo set to be released. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving me a subscribe. It would really appreciate it. Otherwise, like the video, leave a comment if you have any questions, and I will be sure to get back to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.